I'm ready. Oh, hang on. I'm done my Discord settings.
Oh, you push to talk.
Yeah, there we go.
Ugh.
There we go. Because I was a professional gamer at one time in my life.
Oh, yeah,
so gotta have the push to talk professional gamers.
I just can't. I'm too like unfettered in my reaction, and like I can't. Sometimes even I don't know when I'm about to talk. So
the pro gamers out there all know, when you're about to call, when you're trying to listen out for footsteps in tons on B-Site on Dust 2, you don't want to be, you don't want to have your audio settings hampered by one of your teammates' mechanical keyboards clicking too loudly because they're on voice activation.
Well,
yeah. Pro gamers will understand. Hashtag only pro gamers.
Yeah, but when you're a seasoned original gangster like myself, and you're just and all your quips are just bussing my dude, then
it doesn't matter if you can't hear what's going on.
No, because
in the game.
You don't want to deprive your fellow callmates of your sheer riz, my friend. For real. You take out the team. You take out the team with a riz bang. Yo, what's drippy, my home slices? Welcome back to this here establishment, Scrambled Checksum podcast in the house. Totally radical and drippy, my dudes. My name's Ethan. And as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and friend, Kieran.
I'm afraid I just cringed myself to death when you said something was drippy.
And speaking of things that are drippy, this intro is dripping all over the floor and creating a horrible stain on my...
Dripping with cringe.
Just dripping with cringe. And, God, I don't know where that came from.
Thank you for joining us for cringy vibes.
It's because we were talking about TikTok before we started, and I was just
welcome to the Scrambled Cringe Sum.
Yeah, Scrambled Cringe Sum.
We've also gone on way too long for a TikTok video already in the intro. They'd have been 5 topics in by now, probably on your third video.
Yeah, plastering themselves with mouth-closing sticky tape stuff to stop your jawline sagging or some bullshit.
Yeah, Ethan's been watching Looksmaxing. That makes it sound like Ethan's not been watching Looksmaxing videos.
I've been watching takedowns of Looksmaxing.
He's been watching takedowns. He's not been watching them.
Yeah. I don't need to Looksmax. I'm not an Uggo like all you lot.
You've already maxed out.
Yeah,
you got that swole neck.
Just look at that. Look at my uniform skin. If you look on YouTube, you can see how uniform and unblemished my skin is. It's so.
Look at that neck as well.
I know, so chunky and
like.
It's actually quite an awful looking neck now. I think about it. Actually,
it's actually quite a serious medical.
Have you heard of the Derbyshire neck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like I've got Derbyshire neck.
Yeah, it's quite a serious gland issue.
Yeah, but you just don't look at that. That's why I always wear turtlenecks when I'm out in public.
Clamp that shit in.
Yeah,
a girdle.
Yeah, I've got a neck girdle. Like I mean, I can't breathe or swallow, or there's no blood flow to my brain. But hence the horrendous intro that I just provided to you all. But
hence our hot takes and hence this podcast.
Yes. Speaking of things that are cringeworthy and fill you with rage, I've been having some rather unsatisfactory experiences in the last few weeks with our good old friend GNU/Linux.
Is it?
Care to listen?
Is it? Yeah, always. Is it something where it's like you get 90% of the way there and then there's one infuriating thing left over, but there's no fix for it?
I'm not sure I've even got 90% of the way there, and I'm also pretty sure there is a fix for it. I'm just not sure what it is.
What's the issue?
So there's this really obscure programming/scripting language. You've probably not heard of it, called Python.
Not very widely used at all.
No, not very widely used at all. And I recently started partially using it for the first time. Actually, not. It's something I've been meaning to do for a while, but have never had the motivation to actually get started on it. And then I basically have been, with a group of friends, we've been doing a D&D campaign for the last few months remotely, because half of us are on the other side of the pond. And we wanted to record it just for the memories and stuff. So naturally, being the resident tech nerd, it's fallen upon me to facilitate this, and I wanted a way to be able to edit out the kind of silences in the recordings without having to actually manually edit it. So I did a bit of the old internet searching via Ecosia, DuckDuckGo, all the sustainable options, and I came across a tool called Auto Editor, which is a command line tool written in Python, and it's actually super useful. So I installed Python, and I installed it, and it has a package manager called pip. And you can just install Auto Editor using pip on Windows, and it works fantastically. It's super easy to use. If you just want a basic, it will just export the video, but with the silencers cut out. Literally, all you do is you open PowerShell and type in auto-editor space, drag and drop the file, and it puts the file path there. Hit enter, and it just does it. Puts the video in the same directory with hyphen altered at the end. And you can mess around with it. You can change the thresholds if you want to on what it considers to be silent, how much time it leaves before it cuts. You can do a lot with it. You can even export it as a project file for DaVinci Resolve, Adobe Premiere Pro, and a number of other editing softwares as well if you wanted to. So the video's just in a timeline for that, and then you can go in and manually tweak it if you wanted to. So
that's super powerful,
super useful.
Props to
tool.
Whoever wrote that.
Yeah, super useful tool. And we do this on a Sunday evening. So sometimes on a Sunday evening, I don't really fancy sitting at my desktop doing this. So I have been joining these sessions from the comfort of my bed using my laptop, which is running System 76's Pop! OS, which is a fork of Ubuntu Linux, which itself is a fork of Debian. So just for the full details there. And so I was like, right, well, I'm recording it on this, and I'm pretty sure Python's available on Linux, right? So surely that will mean that I can run Auto Editor on here as well. So I went on the python.org website, or whatever it is, and tried to install Python. I couldn't find anywhere that really gave you any information about it. And after doing a bit of digging, it turns out Python's actually already installed on quite a few Linux distros, including Pop! OS. So I was
thinking that, yeah.
Oh, great. So that means I don't even have to do that bit of it. Fantastic. Is it that simple in reality? Guess what? No.
Oh no, where did the problem come?
I cannot, for the life of me, get pip to work.
Oh, the package manager.
Yeah. It doesn't seem to be included in the Python installation that comes with Linux.
Right. And then can you not...
And I eventually finally found a method to actually install pip that worked, which requires adding this repository and then blah, 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 blah. But once pip was installed, I just can't get any Python commands, it seems, to work at all.
Oh, even ones that were previously working?
No, I just haven't been able to get any Python. I'm definitely doing something wrong, but it just doesn't work like it does in PowerShell. In PowerShell, literally, you just... A lot of commands, you don't even have to say put Python in, but sometimes you'll have to put Python 3 or whatever. In Linux, it doesn't recognize it's a Python command, it seems, unless you have to go into Python in the terminal. So you open the terminal and then you type Python 3, and then it'll take you into Python, and then you can type commands, but it just won't recognize any of the commands. So I don't know if pip's just not installed, even though it said it had, and I have no idea how I check whether it's installed because it's installed not through the standard software manager in Pop! OS. I don't even know where I even go to find where it's installed. There's no equivalent of programs and features in Linux or anything. to go in. It's just like I haven't had time really to dig into it properly. I've spent probably collectively like 45 minutes on this, and then
How come you needed pip?
I need pip to install the auto editor.
Can you not just is there not just like a .py file for it? Where you could just like run the script with like some parameters to point it to the file?
Possibly, I don't know.
Because a package manager seems kind of like heavy especially for like running a script, like a Python script on Linux. It feels like...
Yeah, but it's more the fact that when you, on Windows, pip is just included when you install Python. So you just run a command and it just does it.
What I'm wondering is whether it's like a more Windows-focused package manager to make it easier to run Python on Windows. And then Linux doesn't really support it super well because you don't necessarily like
to be different?
need it.
Why does it have to be different?
I know. But maybe you can just find if it's open source, maybe you can just find the Python script, download it and then run it. And then it'll give you a thing of enter the file path. That'll be my guess of what might help. / maybe won't. But that is a core thing of the frustration, isn't it? It's I guess part of it is that it's different, which is fair enough. That's just that is what it is.
Yeah, I just thought, well, it's still Python, so surely that means it should work the same, right?
The Python script should, but it's more just the package manager, whether you need it. Or whether is it the package manager that's stumbling you?
I don't know. I think that probably the main problem is the fact that I just haven't really had chance to properly look at it and figure it out. But I'm just looking on the GitHub now for auto editor, and there's no instructions to install it on how to install it other than to run the pip install auto-editor.
And I get that's I don't know if you find this, but that's always the crux of the problems I used to have with Linux, which was
but there's just no information about it.
Or it's there's a bunch of guides, but they're all for different distros with different architectures.
Yeah.
So you're oh, this one's not relevant to me, and I don't know enough about the platform to know if I can apply.
Well, the really fun thing is, if you go to Python, the Python website, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't mention anything, as far as I could find, saying that Python's just already installed, or anywhere obvious. So I just went to, if you go download, it goes all releases, source code, Windows, Mac OS, other platforms. If you go other platforms, it gives you a list of a ton of things, ton of different flavors of Linux and various other things. And the only one that looks like it's a Linux one, it just says alternate Python packages for Linux. You can purchase active Python. And I was that can't be right, that you have to pay for it on Linux. What the fuck? But it does. It's about as clear as mud, basically, to someone who as a noob who's never done anything with Python, and then it's and then I went down a rabbit hole of okay, well, it turns out pip isn't actually developed by Python themselves, but it is the official package manager for Python. And then I went down and so I found the pip .org, and then I found the information on installing pip for Linux, and there's a ton of different ways of doing it, and I followed that, but it doesn't seem to have worked. It errored out and gave me a load of errors, and I didn't have time to really look into them at that moment in time. And I don't know how to find the errors again. Apparently Linux is supposed to save your last terminal log to somewhere in your system folder or something, and I found it, and it didn't have anything in it.
Oh, it was just empty.
Well, it had a terminal session from 3 weeks ago in it.
Was it I don't know if you do this, and I'd love to know if anyone else does this too, but any time that you've got a weird crash on Windows, I don't know about you, but my first thing is always that I'll have a look in Event Viewer, And I've never once gained anything useful from looking at Event Viewer.
I've found stuff that's vaguely... You usually find stuff that sends you down a rabbit hole that's completely irrelevant, and then, in my experience, and then, like, at some... Like, the thing is, like, you open Event Viewer, and there are so... Like, a fresh install of a manufacturer, like, provided image. So say you've got an HP laptop, and you've got the HP image of Windows with all the drivers and everything as it came from the factory. You've not touched anything. You've not connected it to the internet, so it's not had a chance to brick itself by downloading a dodgy driver or anything. You go in event log and there will be a fuck ton of warnings and critical errors, and it just seems to be how Windows works. So how the fuck are you, like, as like not a system architect for Windows, supposed to...
There's like 100 events that happen on boot.
Yeah.
And then, like, the crash will happen, but like, the funny thing is, there'll be hundreds of events in Event Viewer from, like, the past 5 minutes. Not one of them will line up with when the, like, crash happened.
Yeah. Or be anything like, vaguely relevant.
No, there'll be, like, one event that's happening every, like, 10 seconds or something that's, like, it calling on, like, a network thing. And then there'll be nothing on the actual time that the crash happened. You're like, well, this is which one of these million events? And it feels similar with that, like, Linux thing.
Yeah.
I've had it before, but to a lesser extent, looking at like PHP error logs.
Yeah.
Where it's been like, oh, there's nothing on the like timestamp I want. Well, that was a complete waste of time.
Yeah, it's completely. Oh, it's so frustrating.
It's just like the core of like Linux, though, isn't it? It's like if you don't, it's like where do you go apart from suffering?
Yeah.
To learn how to use. Like, to learn this fundamental Linux knowledge that you need.
Yeah, because
like, how do you acquire that without pain?
I feel like a big problem with Linux is most how-to articles assume you already know everything about Linux, it seems.
Louis Rossmann says something similar, didn't he? Of like, every guide that he saw assumed that you were like a developer.
Yeah. It's like, no. If Linux is ever going to get to the point where people like you and me can daily drive it, like that needs. I mean, we're pretty tech savvy, but like, and we can figure it out. But it's like, if every single time you go to do something, like, I mean, for me, I'm not using Linux just because I want to tinker with stuff. I'm using Linux because I want to use something that's not Windows. But if every time I want to do something, I have to get a fucking degree in whatever specific area of Linux, I'm trying to do something simple, like just fucking edit a video, or just like, it's so frustrating and it's so discouraging and like demoralizing.
It just makes you feel bad, doesn't it? And then you read you read the like distros provided documentation on it, and it just makes you feel really stupid.
Yeah,
I find that too. Like if I'm trying to like, if I'm getting an error, or if I'm just trying to figure out how to install even sometimes like a new piece of software, and then I'm like, I read the documentation and I'm like, God, this makes me feel so stupid. Like I have no clue like where to begin with like step 3.
Yeah. And
then I try and figure that out, and it's just full of people saying like, oh, just do this.
So here we go. Python 3.10.12. I've gone into I've gone pip install auto-editor, and then the response I've got is file in quotation marks stdin, comma, line 1, pip install auto-editor, syntax error, colon, invalid syntax.
So like that command's wrong, but why?
Yeah, it doesn't tell you why. And then it's like,
just
you can
error.
go help. Like, okay, help. Type help, brackets, for interactive help, or help, brackets, object, for help about object. Oh, okay. Help, brackets, pip, maybe?
See, that's the thing. Like, what's defined as
trace
an object?
pack, most recent call last, file, stdin, line 1 in module, name error, name pip is not defined. Did you mean zip? No.
So that's saying it doesn't recognize the command pip, but like, how are you supposed to parse that if you're not a developer?
Yeah,
And don't already know how to use Linux, like,
and why
in depth?
is it that pip is installed when you install Python on Windows, but not when Python's installed on Linux? I don't understand. Why is
And
it
the thing
different?
is, like,
Why is it different?
The root cause is probably that it's just like a fundamental understanding of how the architecture is different. But if no one's made anything that says like, oh, hey, if you're using Python on Linux, you don't need a package manager. Here's how you do it instead.
Well, the only thing I can find is basically that pip is the recommended way to download scripts and stuff for Python.
Yeah, so it's like if no one says otherwise, then what are you supposed to... It's like...
And literally, when you go onto if you click installation for pip, it goes Linux, macOS, Windows in that order.
Yeah.
So if Linux isn't an intended use case for pip, why is Linux listed first?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, and it's not called like a lot of the Linux stuff that's made for Windows is called like Win something.
Yeah. Let's try this again. I've got a virtual machine here. Let's try this live on air.
Oh, there's no way.
Okay, so supported methods. Python comes with ensure pip module, which can install pip in Python environment. Oh, I feel like I've been here already.
Oh no.
So this is the one where it already falls down, because if I just type Python, it doesn't do anything. I have to type Python 3.
Right.
So just for the sake of argument, let's do this. So Python space ensure pip space dash upgrade. Command Python not found. Did you mean command and Python 3 from deb Python 3?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So, okay, so let's try Python 3 then.
That's so like, did you mean?
I don't know. No, I didn't.
Hey,
okay,
moron.
so change it to Python 3,
know?
but otherwise it's the exact same command. User /bin Python 3, no module named ensure pip. It literally says that Python comes with it, but it obviously doesn't for some reason. No explanation as to why, but it just says it doesn't exist. It's like, right, okay, well, let's go to the next method. We'll use this get-python PI thing. So let's try Python 3 get-pip.py py. Can't open file home/ethan/get-pip.py. erno2, no such file or directory. But it says that it should just... no, I have to download the script from here. Okay. So I click on it, it takes me to the thing, so I have to go save as. Do I do save page as?
Oh, what is it? What's the file?
It's a get-pip.py, but it just opens it in Firefox.
I'd either copy and paste it into a Notepad doc and then save it out as the extension that you need, or do save page as and then make sure that's selectable as an extension, but it might not be.
Yeah, now I've got the problem that I've got that open in not a virtual machine.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's okay.
Hell.
Copy and paste has decided it's going to work this time.
Wonderful.
It doesn't always work on VirtualBox for some reason for me. But then it's like, okay, well, where do I need to save this? It doesn't.
Yeah.
Open the terminal command CD. Okay, I'm just going to save it in my downloads. Save. And then I'm going to open that in terminal, I guess. And I can open downloads in terminal. Okay. So now if I do Python 3 get pip.py. Oh, hang on. Put a space.
Oh.
I didn't need to. Let's try that again. Oh, it's doing a thing. Okay.
Is it doing something?
Warning, script wheel is installed in home Ethan local bin, which is is not on path. Not sure what that means. Oh, these are the
No.
errors I got last time. Consider
Oh, no.
adding this directory to path, or if you prefer to suppress this warning, use no script warning location. Warning script pip3 and pip3.10 are installed in, which is not on path. What does that even mean?
Yeah, not on path.
I think this is the source of the problem, because when I installed it on Windows, the instructions for that said you have to tick the box that says add to path, but it doesn't really explain what add to path means. I'm assuming that maybe that means that it puts it in the same directory as where Python's installed.
Yeah, or it like sets up some kind of link to that path.
Yeah.
That's horrendous. What are
Yeah.
you supposed to do with that?
I don't know.
So I'm sure that like if you were familiar with Linux, someone would be like, oh yeah, that means not on path.
I think
That
this is
means...
a Python thing, not a Linux thing though now.
Or like if you're familiar with Python.
So let's try this. All right, pip install. Let's see if it works. It won't.
Is this still trying to install pip to even get your editor
Well, pip
thing
is
open?
installed now, apparently, according to this, but
Oh.
not on path, whatever the fuck that means. It says successfully installed pip 24.3.1 setup tool 75.3.0. Do I have to run setup tool?
God knows. Like, why can you not? Why can you not? Shouldn't it be installed now?
Not found. This is riveting content for a podcast.
Ethan struggles with Linux commands.
This is what it's like though, guys. This is what trying to do shit on Linux is like.
This is the thing. It's like if you
Can't
don't already...
open file. No such file found. I don't know. I give up. Anyway, that's an example. It's just this. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, that's super annoying. Having like errors that you don't understand.
And I don't even know like how to uninstall it now.
Oh, so you're just like stuck with this like broken.
Yeah.
Dude, that's like the crux of
So my solution
like-
was to just give up and just always do it on Windows. That's the solution so far.
that is the crux of like experienced Windows user trying to use Linux. Is
Yeah,
like
it gives up, uses Windows anyway.
give up, go back to Windows.
Yeah, that is basically like I've been doing this on and off for like 4 years now.
Yeah, like trying to install an app that you need, can't get it to work on Linux. Oh, there's a Windows version. Let me try that.
Oh, it just
Oh,
works.
okay. I've got it to work.
I got it to work. I mean, I installed it and it worked straight away.
I ran the exe.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like, for fuck's sake. Linux might be more versatile, but like, for fuck's sake, like, what's more important, versatility or basic things working?
Hopefully, like, it'll be a gap that content creators will fill. Like, you know how Lewis was talking about doing that, like, comprehensive guide for people on, I think, setting up, like, a phone PBX system or something like that. But, like,
Yeah.
something like that for Linux would be, if, like, Futo wanted to fund something
Yeah.
like that, that would be awesome. Because I think a lot of people would switch if it wasn't so, like, hostile.
Yeah.
Futo, please.
It's I think it's even more frustrating for me now because like with every day that passes, I hate Windows more.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not helping themselves. Like, it's not like people like Windows and want to stick with it. They just... The alternative is too difficult to adopt, even if your use case isn't the stereotypical Windows thing of, like, gaming, which is getting better on Linux, and, like, Adobe.
Yeah. It's just... I mean,
Someone please.
Gaming and just... I think gaming's the big one, but there's just the... Like, on Windows, if you've got... This is a classic case of, like, I had a problem that I was pretty sure someone would have had a solution to, i.e. wanting to auto-edit out silences. I looked it up, found a really useful, easy-to-use command line tool for it, which just works, and I couldn't see why it wouldn't also just work in Linux, and it doesn't. But in Windows, it worked like that. It was already slightly out of my comfort zone that it was a command line tool, but in Windows, that was the only thing I had to get over, and it was actually really simple. I thought it would be just as simple in Linux, and it fucking isn't. Why?
It's the same thing when it's like, there's something you need to do that's kind of niche, but you're like, I'm sure someone's had this same problem before and will have made a tool to do it. So you look for it in Windows, and odds are someone will have made like a little program to do it. There'll be a setup exe that you download, you run it, the program launches. It's kind of like simple looking, but it just does the job.
Yeah.
But like the Linux equivalent will be like, okay, open up your command line, enter in these 10 commands, and then it'll happen. But then you get an error on like command number 5.
And I'm
you're
sorry,
like,
that's just not user-friendly for a tool. A tool you're going to use every blue moon. How the fuck are you expected to remember all that syntax? Like, GUIs exist for a reason.
or it'll have a GUI, but it'll be like, oh, the GUI throws an error when you try and like import a file into it.
Yeah.
But you don't understand the error
half the time,
message.
tools for Linux have a GUI that's made by someone else other than the tool, and the GUI might not actually work with the latest version of the tool. And also you kind of like, do I trust using some random... It's like, for example, Tailscale on Linux doesn't have a GUI version. On Windows, it has a very basic GUI one that runs in your system tray. In Linux, there is a GUI version, but it's written by a third party, and I'm like, So I'm using this piece of software to create a secure VPN tunnel for me to get onto my local network when I'm away from my local network. And I'm going to then trust some random Don on the internet is acting in good faith in it. Like, no. No. Why is that the official solution?
Or it's like you'll need a feature of the command line version, and the command line version will support it, but the GUI version won't.
Yeah.
So then you have to deal with the command line again, and it turns into a horrible nightmare.
Yeah, it's...
Please, we like Linux. We're not Linux haters.
Please.
We're not haters.
Make desktop Linux great.
Yeah, please. It needs to be a credible alternative to Windows and Mac.
Yeah. It is getting there. It's just so slow.
Yeah, it's like more credible solution, I should say, because it's been credible for a while.
I mean, this is the thing. Like, it's not driven me away from it. I am going to carry on running Linux on my laptop. Because most of what I use my laptop for, it works absolutely fine for. And like my laptop, even when it was running Windows, for a lot of the heavier lifting tasks, I was remoting onto my server or my desktop PC anyway, but purely from a processing power perspective, more than anything. So I do have the luxury of having more than one device, so I can just remote onto a Windows system when I need it. So I am going to carry on using Linux, and I am going to carry on trying to use it for as much as possible. But I would
needs to be for more than the hardcore tinkerers. Yeah,
I would really love for it to get to the place where it can be my primary OS, not just a
toy.
Yeah.
Like
I had another
set.
frustration actually.
Oh no.
In the last week or so, it would absolutely refuse to connect to the Wi-Fi at my grandparents' house.
Oh, was it to do with like... No, it wouldn't be to do with 2.45 gigahertz, right?
I have absolutely no idea. It just would spiral and then tell me I'd put the wrong password in. But the exact same password worked fine on my phone and my iPad and my grandparents' bits of tech. But for some reason, it absolutely refused to connect.
Just some kind of obscure like compatibility thing with the router or something, probably, if it was the right password. So like... Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a Linux issue or a Lenovo issue.
But the thing is, your first thought was it's a Linux issue.
Yeah.
Whereas on Windows, your first thought would have been it's a hardware issue.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's the kind of shit that does happen when you're running Linux for no apparent reason. Like sometimes when you pair your Bluetooth headphones, it for some reason only recognizes the hand-free mode until you restart your computer.
And then it works.
Yeah,
what are you supposed to do with that? Like...
Yeah. Or the fact that you have to manually switch between the two modes in Linux, where in Windows it just switches automatically. Again, I'm not sure if that's Sony's fault or Linux's fault. Who knows?
But the important thing is your assumption is it's the operating system, not the hardware.
Yeah, because if it even works smoothly on Windows, it can't be that difficult.
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying. Like, nothing works smoothly in Windows. So if even Windows isn't complete dog shit, which traditionally Windows I think is definitely the worst experience when it comes to any kind of wireless peripheral. Like, it is dog shit.
Dated, like menus that don't work.
Yeah, even just automatically connecting to Wi-Fi and things like that. Just like Mac OS, it's so much smoother. iOS, it's so much smoother. Android, it's so much smoother. Like, to be fair, even Linux, the Wi-Fi experience is usually better apart from this one scenario. It's like, honestly, Windows is so clunky in, like...
yeah, the fact that even that's better.
Kieran, I'm so fed up. It makes me so unhappy just every time I think about being stuck on Windows.
I know.
It's slowly sapping all my joy for
for computing
out. Like, yeah, because I look at my setup that I've got in front of me right now, and I love everything about it apart from the fact that I'm stuck running fucking Windows.
Yeah, it's like you're rolling coal.
Yeah.
In computer form. It's like, oh, hey, look at Ethan with an obnoxious gas guzzling diesel.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I want to switch. My next car is going to be electric, but the electric cars are running Linux.
Yeah. So, Microsoft, fuck you. My best Linus Torvald impression.
Yeah, that was NVIDIA, but...
Yeah, I know it was, but...
yeah.
Anyway, speaking of shit things...
yes.
Do you want to talk for a bit?
Yeah, but how Google Drive has gotten worse.
Yeah. Oh, what a downer.
I know. But it's not all... Well, I was going to say it's not all bad, but this is kind of all bad.
It is all bad.
So
everything
Google
is shit
Drive,
and we should all just give up and embrace the heat death of the universe.
No, you have to fight against the dying of the light. Develop your own stuff. Make your own cool stuff.
Yeah, just build
Make your own operating system.
Yeah, build your own from scratch.
Make your own kernel.
If Linus could do it.
Yeah, just because he could build Git and the Linux kernel, like, if you apply yourself, anyone could do it. Anyway, apparently Google Drive has gotten a lot worse for developers. So I'd seen that there were some people who made various, like, I guess you call them like cloud storage apps, or like anything that like note-taking apps, or like anything that needed to integrate with Google Drive. Mm-hmm. A lot of developers were reporting that they were getting these emails from Google saying that their requirements had changed, and that in order to be able to get write access and stuff like that to Google Drive, you had to go through a security audit.
Oh, right.
Which sounds positive, right, from a headline level, but obviously because it's Google, they've taken lessons from Facebook in that they'll send you an email saying that their policy has changed, but a bunch of their guides on how to meet the policy contain like out-of-date links and like bad documentation. So they were like, hey, you need to do this in order to keep having like write access to Google Drive. Here's how you comply with our policy, except all the documentation they linked was wrong or out of date.
Fantastic.
And basically, I think it boiled down to, if you were a small dev team, you had to pay a company that was on like Google's list of like permitted companies to audit your source code, and then allow you to continue getting write access to Google Drive. Or they would maybe say to you, we've reviewed your app and we don't think that you need write access. We think that you need read only, even though the app would be like clearly in need of write access. Yeah. And then like trying to get like a response for that, like all the responses were taking days. The process to get approved took like weeks. You had to do a ton of work just to get approved. And it like sounds good on the surface, but the way they did it was so like big tech, of like, here's a bunch of documentation on how to do it. It's all out of date. Apparently they were giving developers like Docker containers to run their own tool that they'd made to like audit their source code to like make sure they were compliant. Yeah. And that wouldn't run because I think it was either like the Docker container had a problem or like their guide on how to run it had a problem. So like if you tried to just follow their directions, it wouldn't work.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
they were just, so it was like classic big tech of like, hey, here's an email. You need to do this, this, and this by this date because we've changed our policy. Here's how you do it, but all of our guides are wrong. Good luck. If you're small, we won't give you any support. And it felt like such a like screw you to anyone that's trying to do like a small indie developed like app on the Android ecosystem, particularly that you like needed a Google Drive API implementation in order to like
I was going to say in terms of the
effectively.
security access thing, because correct me if I'm wrong. I was just while you were talking, I was just having a quick look because obviously, well, when the only apps that comes to mind that I can think of that uses Google Drive access is WhatsApp, because it uses it for backing up your chats.
Yes.
And I was pretty sure, and as far as I can see, I'm right. It doesn't actually write that into like your drive, if that makes sense. It uses up storage from your drive, but there's no file that's like WhatsApp.backup or something.
Yeah, in your
there.
Google Drive.
So I'm assuming it's just writing it to some other location. So it doesn't actually have access to, presumably have access to the files that you actually save in your Google Drive as such.
The other thing is as well, because it's a Meta app, like they'll have some kind of like direct line. So they'll have probably got like an advanced warning of this and been able to update.
Yeah.
It's like the classic thing of like if you're if you can, or they'll just pay to get the professional like auditing done, which it feels like kind of a waste of money in that you pay someone to audit your source code.
The reason I raise that is it sounds like bullshit, basically, to me. Because, like, if they're saying, oh, we need to audit you to make sure you're not going to do anything nefarious with the files you have access to. It was like, well, but they don't have access to the files, surely, unless there's like a Google's giving them more access than they actually need.
Or it's like...
it heard its name.
Oh, no.
It heard its name.
The funniest part is when they were saying to people like, oh, we think you only need read access, even though they were like clearly needed write. And they were saying that as though that was like a security improvement. But I don't know about you, but like, if something had read access to my entire Google Drive, that's like, it having write access too is not really a big difference.
Yeah.
Like if it can read all of my files in Google Drive.
First of all, terrible, don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's like, is having it not able to create files really that much of a
I guess it's more like, could it delete if it's got write access? Does that also depends on the definition? I don't know how Google's read write model thing works.
Whether it's like read write delete or something like that.
Yeah.
And like delete's a separate thing.
Does write include editing existing entries or only creating new entries? Or
that's a good point. I think the big thing from it was that just like it felt like another thing of like a big tech company implementing a policy that I don't even think they did particularly maliciously. It was just like, oh, we need to change our policy on this. What's the like cheapest way to do it? Oh, we'll get everyone that has API access to Google Drive to just do this audit. Yeah. And like no thought whatsoever to like whether
what could possibly go wrong in that process.
Yeah. Oh, they'll be able to afford like thousands and thousands to have an audit done. Oh, they're open source. So anyway, a bunch of apps have dropped drive support.
Huh.
So like they're switching it so they'll only do like say Dropbox.
Yeah.
So you can't integrate. So it's just made like Google's own ecosystem worse because on Android it then means that like more apps are dropping drive support.
So now you have to have multiple cloud storage.
Yeah, or you need to you're de-Googling yourself because they've an app that you use now can't use Google Drive. To be honest,
it frustrates the hell out of me that WhatsApp, the only option for backing up WhatsApp is to back it up to Google Drive.
I always thought that was weird.
Well, on Android, you can only back it up to Google Drive, and on iOS, you can only back it up to iCloud.
Oh, I didn't realize it was different on iPhone.
Yeah.
Because I always thought it was weird.
Definitely an exclusivity agreement thing. Yeah, because that's why it's such a pain in the arse to migrate from iOS to Android and move your WhatsApp messages over.
Yeah, I remember when I migrated my phone, it was like, if you're going from because I had a look at all the different guides, and I was like, oh, okay, it's really simple if you're doing like Android to Android or iOS to iOS.
Well,
and
you say that. I had a hell of a time actually getting it, migrating from my previous phone to this phone on Android. Because the first time it said it was restoring it from the backup, and then it failed, but it had already set it up. And once you've done that, then it won't let you. If you deregister it on there, it won't let you restore it from a backup the second time.
Oh god, so you had to reformat the phone.
So I had to reset it up on. I can't remember exactly why, but I basically had to reset it up on my old phone again.
Oh right, and then migrate again,
and then start the migration process again, and then the second time it actually carried over the messages. But in the meantime, between that happening, someone had sent me, I think it was you actually, had sent me a WhatsApp message, and then that was missing from the backup because it had happened. But then I'd have had to go back and it was just like, oh, for fuck's sake, why is this so,
it's
so
a bit
complicated? Why can't I just have, like, so I've used an app called SMS Backup and Restore, which a mutual friend / colleague of ours recommended ages ago, instead of using Google's message backup. And that basically will literally... I use that on this case. You back up all your call logs and your SMSs to an XML file, and you can either put that on Google Drive, OneDrive, etc., or you can just save it to a file on your phone, copy it to your new phone, import, done. Simple.
But it doesn't lock you to a platform.
Why can't WhatsApp just have that? It's like great, have the cloud option, but also have an option that's just, doesn't tie you to a cloud platform, because quite frankly, it kind of defeats the entire fucking point of having end-to-end encrypted messages if you then go and store an unencrypted version of all those messages in a fucking cloud storage platform owned by fucking Google.
I do love the idea that, like, when you enable cloud backup on WhatsApp, it's like cloud backups are not encrypted.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what's the point of all this stuff that you advertise about WhatsApp being like end-to-end encrypted?
Meta can't read it, but if anyone hacks into your Google Drive, or if Google, fancies looking at some of your private data, not that they would ever do that without really clearly, expressly mentioning that to the users in question before doing so. Like,
well, I always wondered, did it leave the door open for, like, you know how WhatsApp say, like, oh, we can't read your messages because they're encrypted. But, like, is there anything about them reading them in transit? Or, like, any of that stuff in transit being, like, hashed and passed to Facebook?
Well, the backup.
Yeah, like, as part of the backup. Like, if you enable the Google
I guess
Drive
it depends
backup,
you'd have to do, like, some kind of packet trace or something, wouldn't you, see whether it goes to Meta first before it goes to Google, or...
Well, even if it doesn't, it has to, like...
That's happening on device, though, isn't it? So...
Yeah, but, like, it has to go somewhere at some point. So, like...
Yeah, but unless it's going through one of Meta's servers. If it's just going directly from your device to Google, then it's Meta don't have any...
But if it doesn't live in your Google Drive, is it living on... Because it does live in your Google Drive, right? It uses your storage allocation.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. It's not like it's... I was thinking it might go to, like, oh, is it in, like, a third party? But that'll be really weird.
No, it uses part of your allocation, but you just can't see it as a file in your Google Drive.
Don't see the files.
Folder,
but I was kind of weird that they were like, oh yeah, it's end-to-end encrypted, unless you back up with Google Drive, in which case...
Yeah.
It's absolutely not.
Everything's I want to have a backup of my WhatsApp messages, don't get me wrong. But I would like to be able to back that up to my own server.
I think the worst part too is that, like, am I right in thinking that the person that sends you a message has no way of knowing that?
No, they don't.
So, like, if I sent you a message, I would see in WhatsApp.
Yeah, sorry, Kieran. All the unsolicited nudes you've sent me, I actually have a load of unencrypted
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Because I
Um,
would send you messages seeing, like, the big thing in WhatsApp saying, like, your messages are end-to-end encrypted. It's super secure. And I'd be like, oh, good, I'm reassured. But then if you've got Drive backup enabled, I can't tell that you've got that turned on.
Yeah.
So then I send you all those unsolicited nudes.
Yeah.
they go to your Google Drive.
They also, if OneDrive chooses to work for backing up photos in this particular instance, get backed up straight to my OneDrive as well.
That too, because that was kind of weird. Because with photos, it's like every message is end-to-end encrypted, but your photos get stored in a folder on your recipient's device. Well,
there's not any other way of doing that, right? Though, because it's a peer-to-peer messaging service, isn't it? So
I guess they could host them on their own. Like, this is the thing, they don't want to, but they could host them on like their own WhatsApp servers.
But then it wouldn't be peer-to-peer.
No, you're right. It would be They would be able to see it.
Yeah. So that's the appeal. Is that it doesn't? They don't. It supposedly store anything. It's only that all their servers do is facilitate the connection between devices, but they don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, if they needed to,
it's the same as SMS.
It's how they can't. It's why they don't need an account as well,
the message is only stored on their server in a cache until it's received by the recipient device, and then it's gone. In theory.
And then no account either, right?
Yeah.
So there wouldn't be any. I was going to say you could have something with access tokens, but then it's there's no accounts on WhatsApp, so it's
Well, I think there are, just not passwords. It's tied to your phone number, so they authenticate it by sending you an SMS message when you first.
But that's it's not super secure, right?
Yeah, but there are accounts because it carries over your profile picture and your status and things like that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, when you and you can when you put a new SIM in a phone, it can tell that you've had a WhatsApp installed previously, and you can restore it. So are you now done with cloud services, dude?
As I put in the thing, I'm so done with cloud services, but I can't be asked to do anything about it.
That's the thing, right?
Well, I can. So the big problem at the moment is I can't do anything about self-hosting until I can move to TrueNAS.
What's stopping you?
Having somewhere to offsite backup my TrueNAS server.
So I'm stopping you.
Sort of. If you're still on board with that.
I'm still on board with that.
I was also going to, as a solution, I'm planning to build another server and leave it at my parents' house once I move out.
Of course.
So that's kind of what I'm waiting on at the moment. I'm kind of toying with the idea of starting the process of building that server before I move out, just so I can get the ball rolling. Because
Does that mean that he's changed my call out from Ethan has a server to Ethan has two servers?
Ethan has a server farm, or Ethan has two server farms.
Yeah, Ethan has multiple data centers.
Yeah, I'm thinking of buying some secondhand rack mount case equipment and stuff, and actually building a little bit of a rack.
Wow.
For
Ethan's got a server rack, by the way.
Yeah. I think
Ethan's got a 1U PSU.
I am actually, because at the moment I am actually getting to the point now where I've got so many bits of computing hardware, it would actually be quite useful to have a better way of storing it than having two honking great towers to sat on my desk.
The thing is as well, you end up with like what you use as the case for those becomes your old desktop towers, which are not really appropriate for. Yeah, well, to be fair,
the case I'm using for my server at the moment is one that I bought for it, but it's a tower, not a it's the Antec P101 Silencio or whatever, it's something like that.
It's they don't scale well, do they? No. Having four of them becomes
it's a nice case, but it's not rack man. I'll probably leave this one at my parents' house because it'll be the only one that they have, so it'll just kind of sit nicely in a corner somewhere. But for me, I want to get a rack mount for my PC and for my server, so they can both just sit in a rack, and then I can have network gear in it or whatever as well, and just kind of have it tidy in a corner, as opposed to having a load of stuff just kind of sprawled all over the place.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at the moment my setup is functional but a bit of a mess.
Yeah, just towers everywhere.
Yeah. But living that nerd jank lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. Surrounded by servers.
Yeah. I think, like I said, there's a lot of solutions, self-hosted solutions that you can get. I think it's called Nextcloud. There's the one that I'm looking at, and there's a self-hosted kind of Office 365 kind of replacement thing that goes with that as well. I'm not going to go self-hosted email. Like I said, I mean, we spoke about off air. I'm kind of wanting to switch to Proton, I think.
But are you going to pay for it?
Should I, Kieran? Should I?
Yeah, always on it.
I think I will.
Oh, you're gonna, yeah, because it's not like too bad, right?
No, but it won't replace my OneDrive because it just doesn't come with enough storage. But I don't really want to replace my OneDrive with a cloud storage thing. I don't want to do cloud storage basically. For like the main thing I use cloud storage for basically now is a convenient way to back up photos in real time from my phone. But that only really serves as a tool of like basically then OneDrive automatically syncs to my server, and then every so often I take them out of OneDrive and move them into another folder on my server because OneDrive only has so much space on it. So it's just really a convenient tool for syncing them to my server basically because I've already got OneDrive, and then I also use it for my my current projects. I have them in there that I'm working on because again I can access them on multiple devices and get bits of information. It's just convenient, but I could do that with Nextcloud. And there's photo apps and stuff that photo services and stuff you can run on TrueNAS as well. They work very similar. They give you like the memories and put everything into date order and everything, and you know, you can self-host all that stuff. So everything I use OneDrive for, I can self-host.
Yeah, you just won't have to deal with the Microsoft.
And then, like, for the docs and stuff, like, for this podcast, for example, I can use Proton for that. For the few things, like, that's small files and stuff, so it's not going to be a problem having a limited amount of storage.
It's not really designed for like mass document storage either, is it? It's more of a like email provider with some storage requirement.
Yeah, I think their goal is to take on Microsoft at some point and Google Docs. But they're
do you reckon?
Oh yeah,
they're
absolutely.
Starting with Gmail, like
yeah,
Google
because it started with just email, and now they've got calendar. They've got a VPN. They've just introduced Docs. I reckon like a Sheets/Excel competitor will come soon as well. And then probably a presentation software and stuff. I think they want to build out a full Office suite. I think that's the goal.
They're going to become like the like Google Docs 2.0.
Yeah.
Like the LibreOffice, but for Google Docs.
But yeah, online, yeah, basically. Because that's the problem with LibreOffice is like there's not even a mobile app. No,
it's just it's like almost stuck in that thing of it being like when open Office.
Yeah, which is really frustrating because I do use it on my PC, but it now means that I can only view those documents on my phone. I can't edit them without converting them to .docs or .xlx or whatever it's called, XLSX,
XMLS.
Yeah, whatever it is anyway, and then having to convert it back and everything. It's like, which again, like how often do I actually need to do that on my phone? Very rarely, but it's just like a quality of life thing. It's kind of occasionally it's useful to be able to just quickly edit a document on your phone.
And it's also nice to be able to like just send someone a link.
Yeah. So
and then have them be able to, you know, access it from their phone rather than having to like go to their desktop. And
equally, if they can make a browser-based Office suite that's basically got all the features that you need and it runs in a browser, winner as far as I'm concerned, because then that runs on any platform.
Yeah, if they can nail that.
I feel like that is the future, because like if we can make programs just basically become platform agnostic, like
which is kind of happening with everything like being a browser app.
Yeah, if they just don't care if they're running on Linux, Windows, or Mac OS, then that's how Windows dies.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, this is basically just like something you're running a browser.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what platform you're on or if you're on desktop or mobile. It's like you can run a web browser, you can run...
Yeah,
or like the app, quote unquote, is just like a
because there's very few limitations to browser applications these days, is there? Really?
Yeah, exactly. It's like like Discord you can run in the browser.
I mean, Discord literally is just a browser.
It basically is a browser app. Yeah, it's just like it's the installer is basically nothing. It's just like it's a browser app.
Well, it literally is a browser, I think. And I think isn't it basically just its own Chromium browser?
I think so. Yeah.
So yeah,
there's like very little
it's written in HTML5.
Yeah, it's like
so it is literally a website. That's all it is.
That's like most mobile versions of applications of that as well, right? They're just like the website, but launched through an app.
Yeah. So
maybe we should make our own app.
What would it be? Will it be the crowdsourced tech support, or will it be one of the?
No, that's too advanced, too useful. The crowdsourced tech support. This will be our own cloud service, except like it has none of the benefits of all these other ones. So it would be like end-to-end decrypted. Everything goes through our servers.
In plain text.
En route, like passwords all stored in plain text. Password requirement is that it has to be password.
Yeah.
Because if everyone shares a password, then they have like a vested interest to not log into someone else's account.
Yeah, and we'll also we do have two-factor authentication, but it's SMS only, and it's a every time password.
It's also SMS. It's also SMS sent from one of our phones.
Yeah.
It just says like, hey, dude.
And we'll send them out. We'll send every single one out to every single person who has an account, not just you, with the username as well, just in case.
Yeah, just to be sure.
Just to be sure. Yeah.
You have to know. You have to know that they've received it.
Yeah, so I'll just send it to every number.
And like, all those things that come up on like Facebook where it's like, we can't read your data. It'll be like, we can very much read your data.
Yeah.
We can and do read your data.
We don't care about your privacy.
Yeah, we can, will, and have read your data.
Yeah. But, I mean, if certain political candidates are anything to go by, then people will come in droves to us.
Yeah, they'll flock to it.
Because they'll somehow interpret our honesty of how shit we are as trustworthy.
Yeah, we're anti-establishment.
Yeah.
We do read your data.
Yeah, we're making changes.
Yeah, we're making waves.
Yeah. Sorry.
We
Sorry,
hear
I forgot
you.
we don't do politics around here.
No, we don't. No,
we don't.
We hear you, and we're reading your. We hear you, we see you, and we read about you.
Yeah, but we care even less about your privacy than Apple does about their new lineup of Macs. That was very nearly a smooth segue.
That was very nearly it. Yeah.
Have you seen this?
No. Why? What have they released?
Well, exactly. They didn't do an event.
Oh, nothing.
They've just released a 10-minute video for each new device, which is weird.
No Craig Federighi?
I haven't watched any of them, but I assume he's in them. But it's they didn't do a live event, like an hour-long wank fest of this is how great everything is. They've just released like a 10-minute introduction to the new iMac, the new Mac Mini, etc. Basically, the headline is they're virtually the same as last year, but now they've got the M4.
Wow, that's it.
And Thunderbolt 5.
Oh, God. So no wonder they didn't do a video, because it was like, what would they talk about?
Well, they have done 10-minute videos, they just haven't done the big one.
Well, yeah, but no wonder they didn't do like a whole event, because like...
Yeah.
Well,
the Mac Mini, in my opinion, should now be called the Mac Nano.
Oh,
like they had the Mac Mini because they had the Mac they had the iPod Mini, didn't they? And then they had the iPod Nano, which was smaller than the Mini, I think.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was a Mini, Nano, and then the Touch Shuffle came later.
Yeah,
and then the main one, which was the Shuffle, of course.
Yeah. So
the Mini became the Nano. They weren't two separate SKUs.
Ah, right. Okay. Well, they should do that anyway because it's now looks like it's about the size of like Do you remember the Apple Airport?
Yeah.
It kind of looks about the size of that, or like an Apple TV, maybe a bit bigger than that.
Oh, okay, that's pretty small.
Yeah, it's very small, kind of cute. But yeah, that's the new Mac Mini. Yeah, not really much to talk about other than that.
Yeah, I mean, what is there to say? It's like it's
they've introduced some new colours for the iMac. And by new colours, they're literally exactly the same colours as last time, but slightly different tones of said colours.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like, that's like what the iPhone has been for a while as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, and still
just
only
curious.
a 24-inch variant of the iMac. Still no 27-inch, despite popular demand. I don't know.
Why do they refuse to do it? Like, what's their problem?
I don't know. Still has limited I/O. Still no Pro version.
The limited I/O is... Yeah, they've not done a Pro version in how long?
I think they only did it once.
Oh, right, and they just never...
Like, yeah, they did it once. Like, I think it was like two or 3 years before. It must have been like 2017, I think. It was 2 or 3 years before the Apple Silicon.
And now they're just like, oh, we've got Apple Silicon. No need.
Yeah, but you. To be fair, though, I mean, yeah, it's just weird because basically, if you want to get a higher power desktop, but you don't want to get a Mac Pro, which they seem to have a love-hate relationship with. Every 10 years or so, they pretend that they care about it again and release a new one.
Yeah, right.
You've got the Mac Studio or the Mac Mini, so you can get. I think you can get a Mac Mini with the M4. Is it the M4 Pro? And the M4
God
Max. Knows. So basically, but you can't get a unibody like one screen thing. Like that was always the appeal of the iMac, wasn't it? So you can only get a kind of low tier computer that's the all-in-one screen. Whether with the iMac you could get a high power version of it that was an all-in-one.
Like a professional. That was it. You get a professional tier.
Yeah. Having the Mac Mini fill that, this feels not very Apple to me.
No, because the Mac Mini's not really like it's never been like a powerhouse, has it? It's been like.
Well, it's just the fact that it's just not very neat. You've got a lot of cables, and it's another thing that has to sit on your desk. It doesn't. I don't know. I don't really get.
It's a Pro device. It's limited on I/O.
Yeah. That's actually.
I don't really care about it.
I didn't see anything about the Mac Studio.
They've probably like given up on it. Like, didn't Microsoft give up on the Surface Studio? Or the Surface, whatever it was.
Well, that was because it was shit.
Well,
the screen was great. If it had just been a monitor, it would have been great.
But they never gave it a chance to be good, did they?
Well, no, because when they released it, it already had a two generations out of date Intel CPU, no discrete graphics, and yeah, like no upgrades in sight. It was a great idea, really poorly executed, just like everything else Microsoft does in, well, I was going to say in hardware, but no, just in general.
Yeah,
they aim for the moon and then miss and somehow hit the center of the Earth instead.
But it's like they miss on V1, hit the center of the Earth, and then cancel it after spending a fortune on like developing it, and then spend a fortune to cancel it.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to spend $4 billion to try and get to the moon. They do one rocket launch. It hits the center of the Earth. And they're like, let's spend $10 billion cancelling this.
Wow. They should call their next product SLS. That's it. Yeah. Ooh, shots fired.
Was that Blue Origin?
No. That's NASA. Complete fucking money sink. It's a whole thing. I'm not qualified to talk about.
Don't go into that, but like, more so than Blue Origin.
Blue Origin, actually, I think Blue Origin is just keeping it cagey. I think Blue Origin are doing Blue Origin. Yeah, Blue Origin are doing stuff.
They're making plays.
Yeah, they're just behind closed doors. SLS is a publicly funded cost plus contract that was supposed to be
fuck up.
Yeah, it's well over budget, well under capability. Not going to be able to fly as many missions as they wanted it to because it's taking so long to build them. Complete mess. They should have basically not done it. Basically,
Yeah,
TLDR. It was a waste of time. It's a waste of time. It's the one that they're going to use to go to the moon.
Is that the one that Destin went to their offices and was basically like, you guys are fucking this up, you need to learn from the Apollo program?
Quite possibly, yeah.
If you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend it. Destin from Smart Every Day went to NASA and did a talk, and I think it was on that mission.
Oh, yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah,
yes,
it was that one, right? He was like, you need to read the manual.
Yeah.
If you're not having conversations about why this isn't going to work, you need to be having these conversations.
Yeah. I think the thing is, like, people within NASA are well aware.
Oh, yeah.
They were basically forced to do it by the feds.
Like everything is political, right?
Yeah, because basically, I mean, Boeing and Northrop Grumman or a load of other like traditional kind of contractors in the US have made a shit ton of money off it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a whole thing. Like I say, you could rant about it for a long time, but yeah, it's just ridiculous. The fact that like so get this, yeah, their mission for going to the moon, yeah, so they're going to use Starship as the lander to land on the moon. Yeah.
Oh.
A rocket that's capable of launching from Earth and going to the moon and landing, or will be.
Carry it.
But instead of doing that, that's launching separately, going to the moon, and then it will stay in orbit around the moon. And they're going to launch SLS with a tiny little fucking capsule on top called Orion, and that's going to dock with a Starship that's already at the moon for no apparent reason. And then that Starship's then going to land the astronauts on the moon.
Is that for no apparent reason other than SpaceX make the Starship and everything else can go to Boeing and Northrop Grumman and all these other ones?
It's basically because no one else actually put together despite Starship not being purpose built for it, Starship is the cheapest option for landing them on the moon as a lunar lander. And because of legal reasons, they have to use SLS at some point in it. So they found a way of shoehorning it in, even though it would make way more sense, be way cheaper, way more efficient, and just better in every way if they just use Starship for the entire thing.
That's so stupid.
It is. It really is. And this is coming from someone who is decidedly not an Elon Musk fanboy, by the way.
Yeah, same. That is just...
But they should have done ridiculous. That. We're talking like 10% of the cost.
That's ridiculous.
And this is taxpayer money, by the way. If I was a US taxpayer, I would be pissed.
Well, you know what? If they've got some kicking around...
They could kick it our way.
They could kick it our way and they could fund us.
To go on an ad campaign and promote the various platforms.
Exactly, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, Audible, Deezer, YouTube, and YouTube Music. And we could tell lots of people that they could find us on podcasts just at spotify.com/pod/show/scramble-checksum.
Or indeed, youtube.com/@scramble-checksum.
And we could tell people that our episodes are uploaded every other week on a Monday. And that people should like, comment, share, subscribe, and just have a chat with us in the comments.
Yeah. And obviously we've shied away from talking about the political news in recent years. Obviously, the election result in the US was either really disappointing or really exciting. Well, it was either really, really annoying and terrifying and disappointing, or kind of So that should cover us all. We're recording this before the election, but it will go out way after the election. So hopefully this doesn't air in a complete hellscape.
Oh God, hopefully not. I think it'll be exciting if it's not the complete hellscape.
I feel like I'm full on prepared for the results to bear some resemblance to the background colour of our studio here if you're watching on YouTube.
Hopefully it won't, though.
Hopefully it won't, but I feel like it will.
I was going to say make sure you vote, but by the time this goes out, it'll be too late, and we're not in the right country.
Yeah.
And
If you didn't vote,
for fuck's sake, why?
yeah, don't give me any of your weak. Oh, none of the candidates. Blah 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 blah. Well,
The kid
yeah,
had a
but
thing.
there is quite clearly one that's a lot more damaging than
Hey,
the other.
we've had that same choice to make. We understand.
Yeah, we understand.
You know?
We had to choose
We-
between, oh my god, this why, and I guess this is better.
Yeah. So,
So-
no excuses.
Yeah, no excuses. Get on with it. Go out, exercise your right to vote, or exercised your rights to voted. There we go.
And exercise your right to subscribe.
Yeah. And on that note, we will see you again in the next episode.
Yep, see you in 2 weeks, everyone.
You thought I was going to do it, didn't you? You thought I was going to do it.
I did.
I thought I was going to do it as well.
I'm glad you didn't.
In our
No,
next
please,
episode.
no, please.
Our next episode.
Thank you very much. We'll see you in 2 weeks, everyone.
I'm afraid I've got some bad
No.
news.
No, I'll bring that back.
Thanks for listening, everybody. See you later.
See you in 2 weeks.
Bye.